We want to start off this episode at the Spellbound anniversary event at the Spellbound Brewery in Mount Holly, New Jersey, by thanking, first of all, the brewery itself for letting us use their space. We love this brewery so much. It's a must-visit brewery. And second of all, thanking the NFL, NBA, NHL, and MLB for the fire intro that begins every podcast we record.
That's right, Wally. We're here at the Spellbound event. We've been talking about it for the last couple weeks. Super, very excited. That's how excited I am. I'm super, very excited about this. The first beer I got, I had to grab it because it was the best beer I have ever had, at least to this point, was the Porter aged on Santo Paolo wood.
By the way, got a 4.6 on this podcast, the highest ever rated beer on this podcast. And it's won a couple awards here at the Spellbound Brewery.
Absolutely, yeah. Gold medal at the Great American Beer Fest, which actually just happened again this year. And I think I said Santa Paolo, but it's Palo Santo. I'm already through one 10-ounce glass. And,
Doing pretty good, huh?
Good right now. So, yeah, very good. I'm excited to rate this one again, coming from a completely sober perspective. And you could just taste it that much more when you haven't had any other beers to mess up your palate there. So I'm excited. Wally, what do you have going on?
I got the What Were We Thinking Bourbon Barley Wine. And this one was super exciting because I was talking to the owner as soon as I came in, and he was like, first of all, you got to try the quad because it's our anniversary beer. That one was fire. It was pretty good. So that's a must-try beer if you come here. Second of all, he was like, the next one you have to get is the What Were We Thinking Bourbon Barley Wine. Good. And I was like, that sounds good, but what were we thinking when we brewed this beer? So yeah, I had to get it, and it's like s'mores, honestly.
Oh, interesting.
It's a super unique flavor, and it just comes in with like a maltier start to the beer, and like a really smooth finish with a really rich taste in the middle.
Nice.
And I really enjoy it. So I think we're gonna rate just a couple beers today.
Yeah.
And we got some guests on the podcast as well we'll touch on that in a minute. But the What Were We Thinking Bourbon Barley Wine, we're going to start off rating this beer at a 4.1. I love this What Were We Thinking.
Just another beer that cracks that 4-point margin here for the Spellbound Brewery. And
that's become an average rating at the Spellbound Brewery.
Yeah, absolutely. These beers are just phenomenal. I don't know what they were thinking, but obviously it was something good when they brewed it because, 4-1 for many beers is good.
I would love to learn where that name came from when they brewed that beer.
It's got to be an inside joke of some sort,
yeah,
right?
Definitely.
Maybe they were just coming up with ingredients for this one, and somebody just said, "What are you thinking?"
Definitely.
And and they do have two. Oh, 2015.
Oh, and this one is, I guess, this year's What Were We Thinking?
Wow, so they have possibly done it before. I don't know. Oh, Heaven Hill Bourbon, What Were We Thinking? So look at that. So they have two different ones, which is really cool.
So they didn't know what they were thinking twice there.
Yeah, as
and
Wally's Paul just pointed out to us.
They messed up and turned out to be something amazing.
Yeah, I guess so. What were you thinking? What were we thinking? I don't even know what I'm thinking, but it sounds good, a 4-1.
Yeah, so Hitch, what are you drinking right now?
Well, again, I'm drinking that Palo Santo Porter, and I'm just gonna stick with my score. It's just so good.
Right. It can't get better than a 4.6.
No, absolutely not. If I were to go above a 4.6, that would just be crazy. This beer is so good, and I can see why it won a gold medal at the Great American Beer Fest. I'm not going to change my score. It's just a very, very good beer, one that I highly recommend anytime you come here, because if you're not here for an event, they might not have as many beers, but this one is a signature I could see them having for a really long time because it's that good.
So as I mentioned earlier, we do have a couple new guests on this episode at the Spellbound anniversary event, and the first guest that's going to be on my show, or on me and Hitch's show.
Our show. What's wrong with you?
Is my own dad. My dad is going to be on the show rating a beer that I previously tried already and I really enjoyed. So
I wish you guys could have seen the reaction from Wally's mother because she is upset that she is not number one. It's not right, Wally.
She'll get number 2, I promise. So allow me to introduce my dad.
Hello, this is Eric. I am Chris's dad. I'm going to rate the oatmeal raisin cookie here at Spellbound Brewery at their 5th anniversary celebration event. The oatmeal raisin cookie is a dark beer. It's, I guess, a porter, maybe a light stout. It's very dark. Can't see through it. Tastes really good. I really like it. It's a little bitter for me. I don't really taste any oatmeal or raisins. I do taste a little bit of chocolate and maybe some coffee, just a hint of coffee. I like it. It's got a great beat and you can dance to it. I give it a 95.
A 95.
I'm just kidding. I'm gonna rate it a 3.9. I'm gonna 3.9. It's really good. I do like it a lot. I would get it again, but it's not gonna be my favorite beer.
3.9. 3.9 is still a strong score.
There you go, a 3.9 from our first guest here, and not necessarily a rookie rating for sure,
Not at
because
all.
3.9, not breaking that 4.0 on his first rating here, so that's
Yeah,
a pretty good
definitely.
rating. I'm very excited to see
A
what.
man that's tried more beers in my life than I've seen him drink anything in the world.
The man knows his beer, so a very good rating from a veteran in the game. Now we have Wally's mother.
Yeah. Next up is my own mom.
Alrighty, here you go.
Hi, this is Chris's mom. I had what did I have?
Oh my goodness.
I had the Belgian triple cherry. No, I didn't have the first one. I had that cherry Belgian triple. You can taste the cherry. Are you talking about me? Yeah. You can taste the cherry and it's okay. I'm not a huge beer drinker. It's okay. I don't know that I would get it again. So, what's a middle rating? 2.5?
What's out of 5?
2.5 in the middle. In the middle. It was good. It was all right, but I'm not going to drink it again.
Wow, heavy critic.
The place is wonderful.
2.5 for my highest rated beer ever on the podcast. That's what you call a hater.
Yeah.
She is a hater.
Figure it out. Yeah, that's his highest rated beer.
So our next guest on the podcast is my uncle. His name is Brian Keller, and he is an avid beer drinker.
First and last name? Wow.
A strong introduction for a strong guest on the podcast.
Give his address out. What's your social? Can we have your social too? We'll put that out.
Just an avid beer drinker, a guy that I expect a high rating from, a descriptive rating. So, high expectations coming your way, Brian.
Wow.
Wow, have high expectations here. And, forget about the alias here. Now everybody knows who I am, but I'll get into it. I had what did I have? The Firkin Hazelnut Raspberry Coffee Porter. Now, I'm a regular listener of the podcast, and I hear Hitch and Wally's ratings of all the beers. And I have to say, I do have Hitch's palate. I go with the darker beers. I like a stout, but I tried this porter, and I have to say it's excellent. So everything that it says, hazelnut raspberry coffee porter, all comes through in it. It has a slight raspberry taste. It's not too sweet. You get the hazelnut in the background. It's a dark coffee kind of taste. But then when you're done with the drink, you get an aroma of coffee afterwards, and it was fantastic. So I know their rating system, and I would give it a strong 4.35 right off the bat. I mean, this is my first beer I had here. I don't know what to compare it to, but it was strong. It was a great beer.
Wow, 4.35.
I know, 4.35 is a beer
From
that
the vet.
I might have to get that one now. I've never had it, but it sounds delicious.
4.35 sounds like a beer that I would like. I haven't had it yet, but I'm super excited to get it. That's my next beer here. But a 4.35. I guess you couldn't just go 4.4, huh? Nice. I like it. No, that's a veteran score. So now, does anybody else? Are we gonna get anybody else on here? Tim? Yeah, Tim. There you go. All right. Now introduce Tim.
Tim.
Get any introduction. I'm just saying.
I said this is my mother.
Wow, you're a rookie. Just saying.
What's more? What could you ask more?
Yeah.
I think Hitch introduced me. I'm more his mom than you.
I feel like that's my mother is a pretty good introduction. So the next guest is my own brother, and I'm not sure what kind of beer he has, but I'm very excited to see what beer he is going to rate because I know that he's tried a ton of different beers. Even before, since I started drinking beer, he's always been drinking craft beers, the most exotic different types of beers that I could find. So, without further ado.
His palate is pretty good then.
Yeah, his palate is a wide variety.
Thank you, guys. Great to be here on this beautiful afternoon with a wonderful family. I would just like to say that I tried the peach IPA here, and I like a good IPA is my standard beer that I like to drink. I like to try the fruity ones sometimes. Some of the different kind of flavors are in there, but I was really lacking the peach flavor here. I tasted the IPA, but I can smell the peach, can't really taste it, and for that reason, it's going to get a lowly 2.0. Hope the next one's better. Sorry, Spellbound. That's how it's got to be. Mic drop.
Wow, that is the lowest rating on this podcast.
Yeah,
here.
2.0. I mean,
2.0? I mean, come on.
Almost like a shot to the brewery there.
I mean, really? Jeez. So he
Let's
didn't
hope
taste
the
the
brewer
peach.
doesn't come around and hear that.
Well, no, it's fine. Criticism's a good thing. Constructive criticism is a good thing. So if you don't taste the peach, maybe they got to kick something up. So that's good. Good rating, a 2.0. But, the veterans may have done a better job at that. It's fine, though. It's fine. So we're super excited. Anybody else want to rate? You guys want to go? Yeah. All right, hold on. A little intro.
One of my brother's friends, Patrick, is going to rate a beer, and I know Patrick has had a ton of beers because he hangs out with Tim all the time, and Tim gets him into all those different kinds of beers, and just hanging out with me too, drinking craft beers all the time. So without further ado, Patrick.
Well, first off, thank you for Hitch and Wally for having me on the show. Well, mine's not very much of a craft beer. It's a Hefeweizen. A short German lesson for you. A Hefeweizen just means a wheat beer with yeast in German. It comes from the southern region of Germany, Bavaria, or Bern in Deutsch. I would say this is pretty good for all the Hefeweizens I've ever had in my life. I have had it straight from the homeland, the fatherland, or in Germany. But I would give this, I would say about like a 3.9 out of 5. Pretty good for the Hefeweizen variety. Yeah. All right, well, thank you for having me.
The Hefeweizen, as I like to call it. Wow. Patrick with a 3.9 for the Hefeweizen.
The Hefeweizen.
The Hefeweizen. Nice score by Patrick. It's a good little background there, too.
Yeah,
awesome.
for real, a little piece of knowledge that I didn't know about.
Yeah, and it's so cool because I feel like sometimes we can lack that because we get so caught up in the sports and we just like the flavor of the beer that we forget sometimes about where these beers come from.
Yeah, there's a whole history behind these beers.
Oh yeah, a lot of them at least, and for the Hefeweizen, you'll see a lot of breweries having that, and really you could get a Hefeweizen from most bars you go to. So.
Yeah.
A 3.9 out of 5 for a very common beer. That's awesome.
And I'm loving the ratings today. They're all over the place, but just a wild range, a variety of ratings. It makes for great content.
Couple good ratings, couple rookie ratings, but yeah, absolutely. It's pretty cool to see what people think, and it's really nice to get others on this podcast and for them to see what it's like for us to come out to a brewery and do this thing. So very cool, and this is a very, very special episode here from the 5th anniversary. It's at Spellbound. And I'd like to give a shout out to the owner as well because, as soon I know you came in and you got here a little bit before I did, but, he greeted you and really made you feel special because, he remembered you, which is super cool. And, that's just a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and whether it's marketing reasons or not, it's just cool. It's a nice thing to do. And even if you want to promote your business, it's hard to remember somebody's face and somebody's name and what they do. So.
And I'm sure he's talked to hundreds of people here today.
Yeah,
to remember me specifically, we've been here a couple weeks, 3 or 4 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
So I'm really surprised that he remembered me, and he was so helpful and just really putting me, making me feel special when I come into his brewery.
Absolutely, Wally. And what else are we going to touch on here today, Wally?
We got some sports topics to hit.
All right. How about the Mystics? They won.
The Mystics won, and Elena Deladone didn't really I mean, she had 20 points, but she was, I think, 8 of 15 from the field or somewhere around that range. But it was really Christy Tolliver who put the team on her back in the final moments of the game. Or Messamai. I hope I'm saying her name right.
That's okay. As long as
I believe she hit the last shot in the final 2 minutes to put them up, to put them ahead, the go-ahead field goal. But, like, just Elena Deladone playing with 3 herniated discs.
Herniated disc, bruised knee.
Oh my God!
Oh
but
man, she's
what
a
an incredible
champ.
effort to get out there for her team for a WNBA championship.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, like, you know, if you look on our social media, we put that on our story, and it just comes down to, you know, it's something bigger than just one person, one single person. So when you do that and you put your body on the line like that, you know, you're really portraying to your teammates and really, for the most part, your family that, you know, you care about them and you want to win with them, and you'll do whatever it takes to help them get there alongside you. You know what I mean? So,
Exactly.
yeah, Elena Deladone, just what a game by her, and that's so incredible. And how about these rumors about OBJ?
I know. I mean, rumors about him getting possibly traded to the Eagles.
Patriots and 49ers, I believe.
That is just like, I mean, what are the Browns thinking on this end of the deal?
I don't think it's so much the Browns are shopping him. I think it's more so just
Other teams looking in and seeing the dysfunction and being like, well, if that's going on, I could probably get him. They might be willing to move him.
right, exactly. So it's not going to be so much them going out and saying, we have OBJ if you want him. You know, he's up for grabs. It's more so just, you know, yeah, we'll listen to your phone call, and if it's something extraordinary, we'll take it. Which I don't foresee happening. I actually think he stays with the Browns. But, you know, come the trade deadline, if somebody's down a receiver and they actually need a good star receiver and they're willing to take on that personality, you know, they might offer a couple firsts, which for a guy like OBJ, a couple firsts makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see the Browns taking that for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if anything above, like, 2 first-round picks and a player, or a 1 first-round pick and a player of some sort of value, I would take if I was the Browns. But on the Eagles end of this deal, on the Patriots end of this deal, you're getting a dynamic player. But also the other end of it is you're getting a locker room wrecker. A guy that could fit into your culture on the winning side of things. But as soon as you lose a game or somebody commits a bad play that wasn't really on the pro side of things, all of a sudden he's looking at that guy and he's causing a lot of chaos in your locker room. So is that really something you want to bring in to a winning culture that you already have instilled?
Right, exactly. And I think you kind of see that early on in the season where the Browns have been so up and down, and they win a game and they lose one, and they just look bad. I think you can already see the dysfunction within this team happening. You know, so early on in the season, you can clearly see it. And you listen, against the 49ers, don't get me wrong, the Browns kind of shot themselves in the foot a couple times. But to lose 30 plus points to 3, that's not good. And the
Not at
Browns
all.
could definitely use some help right now. And they have been known to be a team that likes to stockpile their draft picks.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, if a team comes forward and offers a couple firsts and a decent player, I don't see why the Browns wouldn't take it, because you still have Jarvis Landry, you still have Anthony Callaway and a couple other good players, Nick Chubb, you know, so you have some good players here. I don't know that you necessarily need OBJ, and you have David Njoku, you know what I mean?
Exactly. And something else I wanted to touch on that's just new this year in the NFL. I'm working on a blog about this right now.
No, that's fine.
Something new this year in the NFL that I'm writing a blog about right now is the new NFL challenge penalty flags. You can now challenge pass interference and things. You can challenge if there was pass interference or if there wasn't pass interference in the play. And how do you think this has played out to this point in the season?
Yeah, I think it's just such a weird installation of, you know, a new rule, or, you know, to be able to throw the challenge flag on a pass interference, which I don't hate that you can do that now.
I feel like it's super necessary after what happened in last year's.
Yeah, to the Saints, right.
Yeah.
I love the fact that they did it, but what I don't like is the fact that they never turn over a call. Like, you know, us being Philadelphia fans, we saw the Eagles play the Packers, and there were 2 challenge flags thrown in that game where I thought it definitely should have been turned over. There was definitely, well, as I said, it definitely should have been turned over in that game. At least I thought so. I thought there was enough evidence, but and that just it just goes like for me, it's just slowing the game down at this point. There's been so many challenge flags thrown for pass interference, and only 7 have been turned.
Yeah, like over 50 thrown for to challenge a pass interference if there wasn't or wasn't, but only 7 turned over of that 50, and some of them have been blatantly missed, even with the replay and the challenge flag. So what's the point of having it if you're not really using it the right way?
Right. That's 14%?
Yeah, and the replay is supposed to get the call exactly right the way it's supposed to be, but that's not really what they're doing, and they're missing the whole goal of what this is. So I don't really see the point in why they're doing it at this point in the
No,
thing.
exactly. And I think Tim, who was on earlier, has a point to make. What do you think about this PI, being able to challenge the pass interference whether it was or wasn't?
Well, personally, I just see a little bit of a change in the game there, guys, and it's kind of, forever. It was the power of the referees. You trust them to make the call. That's their job. It's the same thing as you go to work to do your job. People trust you to do your job correctly. No one's sitting there shouting at you saying, like, I don't think he did it right. Look at it again. Make sure he did it wrong or did it right or whatever. Like, it just kind of slows down the game a lot. I like the idea of it with there's so many missed calls lately, but it's not really working out. I don't think it's going to work out. I think it's slowing the game down too much and making, people are just going to get too rowdy about it. At this point, I think the money should be spent on the referees and making sure their training is there and that they are able to not miss the calls. And then at that point, there's no reason for this. So we can eliminate that need. And then again, how do you get these referees to be doing better on their field just like the players? Why don't they adopt the same thought as the players? What are these players doing to get better every play? They're out there ripping these smelling salts. That's a whole new topic, guys. So if you ever seen that, all those little white packets you see on the ground in the field during the game, those are mostly smelling salts. They're used to wake someone up when they're passed out. They have a lot of strong smells and chemicals in them, and they really kind of fire up your brain. The research isn't quite there yet for what exactly they're doing to your brain. But the players report that they get a rush of energy, and they're really feeling ready to go for the next battle or play, if you will call it. And I think it's kind of a problem, too. And at this point, how long do you let it spread? It's going to keep spreading, and you're going to have coaches and trainers and referees. Like, everybody's going to be hyped up yelling at each other. And there's with enough testosterone on the field already, I don't know if we need more.
Good job, Tim. Yeah, and I agree. And we talked about that a little while ago with Adam Gase. Remember that?
Yeah, I
Pretty
remember
early
that.
on in this podcast, we saw Adam Gase doing something on the sideline, and I don't know whether it was smelling salts or not, but he was doing something to wake himself up. So, and I agree with Tim where we don't really know enough about it, and
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what it's doing. But if you're talking chemicals, that doesn't sound like something you should be sniffing and putting in your system at all.
Yeah, exactly, and especially the way your body reacts to it, like it's instant pre-workout, and it's 10 times as powerful as pre-workout, and it's kind of become a culture of the NFL. If you're in the NFL and you're not doing this, you're probably not making it to the starting 11 on Sundays.
Right, exactly. And if you have somebody, on the sideline who's actually injured, whether it be concussed or something, else that, you might be able to play through, are they giving that to these guys to keep them going? You know what I mean? Especially if you're concussed. I've seen guys almost passing out and from being concussed. And, I don't know if they were given smelling salts or not, but then they end up on the field again, and it's like, what is going on? What's happening here? What did you give this guy to keep him going? So I could definitely see it being a problem. But Wally, we're at a good point here. We're here at the Spellbound Brewery. We got people to rate beers. We talked a little bit about sports. Do you want to do any over-unders here?
Let's do a couple over-unders, maybe on some preseason basketball because I'm so excited for the basketball season. I cannot wait. It's only 2 weeks away, less than 2 weeks really, and I can't wait to see this new Sixers lineup.
I know. I feel you there. So, speaking of the Sixers, do you want to do an over-under for the Sixers Magic coming up on Sunday?
Yeah, for sure. So, the over-under on this game, there is no line because it's a preseason game.
That's fine.
Um,
Let's set the over-under at 100 points.
100 points?
Yeah,
Over.
200 points.
Oh, 200 points.
200 points. We'll edit that out.
Yeah.
All right, let's set the over-under at 200 points, Wally.
With that one, or Sixers Magic, Sixers are a defensive unit, and I think the Magic are going to be underrated this year. The Magic are going to come out and prove people wrong. They're going to be an Eastern Conference team to be reckoned with. The people are counting them out this year, but they've got a lot of things coming, and they're ready to teach the rest of the league what they really are and who they really are as a team. So I think these are two really good defensive squads. I'm going to take the under on this one.
So you're taking the under. You don't think they're going to get to 200? I think they will. I think it's going to go 205, actually. So
205.
Very specific.
There's some scorers on this squad.
Yeah.
Embiid, we know what Simmons can do. Tobias Harris.
Josh Richardson.
The Magic have some scorers, too. It could easily go over 200.
Who does Markelle Fultz play for?
I believe he plays for the Orlando Magic.
Markelle Fultz is going to come out and score. He's actually looked pretty, I shouldn't say good.
He's
but
still got that hitch in his shot, though.
He's shown some skill, though, for sure. And I think that, it's a preseason game, so you're not playing defense as hard as you would in a regular season. So I could see this going over 200, and I'll take the over.
Definitely, and I can't wait till that game plays and we get to see what happens for the rest of the season.
Yeah, Wally, let's move on to this next over-under here. I think what we could do, speaking of the Sixers, is just doing their win total this year. At an over-under of about 54.5. I don't know what you would take, Wally, but I know last year I think they won 52 games, and the year before that winning 51. So they've been pretty consistent, and I think the team that they have now is definitely better than the team they had last year. And with the way the East has gone this year, I don't see it being as tough as it was in prior years. So I could see the Sixers going over that, and I'll take the over.
I definitely will take the over as well, actually, because I think Brett Brown coming out recently and saying that his team is going after the number one seed, and he really wants that, is a really big announcement to the rest of the league as like a warning as we're coming, we're a defensive juggernaut, try to score on us, it won't happen. And also we got some scorers, we got some shooters around Simmons and Embiid, and if Simmons gets at least like a reliable mid-range jumper, that's all I care about, and he shoots like 65% from the free throw line, that's enough, and this team can easily win over 54.5 games.
All right, over-under for threes made by Ben this year.
This year?
This year, over-under for threes made by Ben Simmons this year. You set the number. What do you think? 10.5?
I was going to say like 16.
16? Oh, that's...
16, like there's 82 games in the season.
All right, so 16. Let's do 15.5.
All right, 15.5.
All right, 15.5 for the over-under that Ben Simmons makes. Not takes, but makes.
I'm going to go under on that one because I think...
I would take the under, too. 10.5.
All right, on that, I'm going to take the over.
All right, go ahead.
You going to still take the under?
Go ahead. I'll take the under.
All right. I'm going to take the over on 10.5 because I think Simmons is... He's not going to make it an emphasis on his game, but he's going to take it when it's open to open up those lanes for himself because he has the awareness of a veteran player, even though he's so young, that he knows that he needs to do this type of thing to open up the lanes for himself and his teammates. So he's going to take them, even if he doesn't make them, and even if he shoots 20% from downtown, that's enough.
Yeah, I actually hope you're right because I think that'd be awesome, but I'm going to take the under. I don't think he's going to take the three as much, but I think he's not scared to. So if he's open and he's feeling it, he'll take it. I could see him making around 10 this year, but I just don't know how many he's going to take. It's not that I'm afraid that he'll make it. I just don't know how many he's going to take. I know he's more confident with his shot, but coming into the regular season And, you know, when the games actually mean something and the defenses are actually playing tough defense, I don't know how he's going to be and how he's going to react. So, all right, Wally.
So 34, and I mean, Ben Simmons 10.5 threes on the year. I mean, it's crazy that we're even talking about Ben Simmons shooting a three-point shot. The progress that he's made as a player is unreal.
Yeah, well, he spent a lot of time this offseason working on it, and I think he came a long way for sure.